So Java 2 came out, and my opinions are like conflicted, I guess, because on one hand, this is amazing, I love everything about it, I want more of this, and on the other hand, half the games are broken, and we didn't get half the things promised, so this video is kind of going to be a summary of all my opinions, along with a summary of the update in general. So this basically all started like a year ago, August 2019, where Hive posted this thread, the State of Hive Java Edition, where basically they said that the server was running worse than it could be because the code was outdated and similar things, so they were recoding the entire server. At least that was their plan to make more money, because they said that Java cost more money to host 4,000 players than Bedrock costs to host 17,000, which is frankly ridiculous when you think about it. So then about like 8 months after that, we started seeing betas show up on Discord where basically you could play Java 2, but it was a beta, stats didn't save if it was on a different server, whatever. You had like an hour to do it, and then they would stop, and then a few weeks later there would be another beta, and so on and so forth. And there were about 5 of these, and they all kind of went roughly like, wow, this is so cool and new. Wait a second, none of the games work. And then 1 billion bugs were reported, repeat 5 times, is roughly what happened. I mean, the first beta was really bad. Bed Wars, there was a bug where you just couldn't hit people sometimes, like your hit reg just died permanently in the game. But after that, there were significantly less bugs. I think the first testing was just pretty rocky. But then in about mid-March, Miles Dev, who's one of the biggest Java developers, changed his Discord status to something special happens in 100 days, and 100 days from them was June 28th. That wasn't the actual release date of Java 2, but it was one day off, so I don't know how that happened. Sure, maybe there was something, people just did the math wrong originally, something like that, I don't know. But the point was, he kind of set a release date, but not officially, which, I mean, there was that, and that kind of gave people the idea of when Java 2 was released, and then later on, I think it was the 22nd of June, we actually got the release date, and it was the 29th. Which then, on the 29th, it wasn't really the release date, because we had a 3-day maintenance break that was super long. Probably one of the longest breaks in Hive history, for implementing Java 2, of course. The thing about that 3-day maintenance break was that it wasn't supposed to last that long. It was supposed to last about a day, from the morning of the 29th to the morning of the 30th. Instead, it lasted from the morning of the 29th to potentially even very early morning on the 2nd of July, or like very late night on the 1st of July. Either way, it was a bit under 72 hours, probably. I'd say around 60, upper 60s maybe. But yeah, it was just way longer than expected. A lot of people were complaining in the Discord, asking for estimated times of arrival and stuff like that. The problem started when people started thinking that Java 2 was more than just a server rework, which technically it was. There was some actual changes that were like more visible to us, like the PvP arena, for example. But the main thing of what it was a server rework, and to be fair, I'm fairly guilty of this. I did a lot of hype spreading in my time, but also in my defense, I think there were a lot of things that were confirmed by the Hive team that didn't end up being put in, and I'm going to show some examples. Obviously, I'm not just going to say that and not bring it up, so yeah. And I will also mention that it is definitely the smart decision for Hive to not put these things in. They are much better off having a better functioning server than a poorly functioning server a year later, but with private games. Like, they can just add private games later and have the functioning server now. No reason not for them to do it at different times, but still it is quite disappointing that we didn't end up getting these in the update. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about those. But yeah, people were quite disappointed when they found out what actually came out. Now, some of the things that they claimed were supposed to happen were kind of ridiculous. There were some allusions to anti-cheat upgrades, but there was never any full-on confirmation, and people asking for new maps or new game modes. No, no one ever said that. Stop. No, that was never a thing. I covered that in my first Java 2 video on the beta, but that was never going to be a thing. But there were 3 things that were confirmed and never added. The first one was a quest system, which is kind of like achievements, but limited time. And they would be replacing achievements. The second thing was a new cosmetic, because lucky crates suck, and the only fun thing to do with them is collect them. And the third thing was private games, which the Bed Wars community really wanted. Okay, so I plan to cover these in order of how many shits I give about them. So obviously first is the new cosmetic. We didn't really get much information about this one, but basically all they said, cool new cosmetic, wow, get excited guys. But they said it was like completely different than what we already had, which was kind of cool. You know, I would like it. Now I did have a few ideas on what this would be. One of them would be like a hub title, because they have those in Bedrock. Those would be kind of cool. And there's tons of other things that I'm sure many people have thought of, and they've said they still plan on implementing it, but it's such a small thing, like it's just cosmetic, who really cares? Still kind of disappointed that they said it would be in the game and it wasn't. Now quests, I was more excited for them than I was for the new cosmetic, but they kind of have a similar story, where they were revealed in mostly the same threads. The cosmetic was kind of just a passing mention in the quest thread that, oh, this is also coming with quests. The big part was quests. Now quests, they got me pretty excited. I was pretty hyped with them, but similar story. Basically, we were told that they weren't a real thing about like a week before the release of Java 2. They're still coming, but they're not really going to be releasing at the same time. And as you can clearly see, they didn't. So then there was this forum post, community feedback, hub signs, and joining games, which was super old, December 7th, 2018, so before even Java 2 was revealed, and basically they talked about how they were going to upgrade the queuing system, and a lot of that we ended up seeing in Java 2. One of the things they mentioned being private games, which eluded the reasonable conclusion, because they mentioned that the new queue system would be in Java 2, so it's reasonable for people to assume that we would also have private games, because private games were part of the new queue system. And then later I even talked to Miles about it, and he also confirmed that there would be private games in Java 2, but then it kind of got unconfirmed. I don't remember when. It was certainly not too late, but it was still something that was promised and then didn't end up coming. It was cancelled later on. Now, the drama started with a forum post, an in-depth update for the Hive Java edition, which is the second forum post we got on Java 2. I didn't mention in my original section. Basically, what it said was everything that first one said, which was the one that announced Java 2, and also, you know, the stuff about some of the features that were coming, like a modernized queue system, which we saw, the improved game loop, which we've seen, bug fixes, of course, we've seen those, stuff like that. But the thing that was the big bombshell was the announcement that 4 games were being removed, and those were Cowboys and Indians, Murder in Mineville, Sky Giants, and the Herobrine. Now I'm going to go over each of those games individually. Now I didn't actually play that much Sky Giants, but what I do know about Sky Giants is that it was like filled to the brim with hackers. The anti-cheat couldn't work as well because of like knockback or something along those lines. And it was just a fairly dead game, a ton of hackers, kind of a no-brainer to remove it if you ask me, but yeah, that was one of the games being removed. Didn't really have too much drama around it. And there was Murder in Mineville, which is a direct competitor to Trader in Mineville, same lobby, fairly similar games in sort of concept. So I think the removal was fairly reasonable because Murder in Mineville is super inactive and probably only hurting Trader in Mineville. And just since one's completely destroying the other, we can remove the one that's getting destroyed fairly reasonably. Again, there was some drama, not an absurd amount. And then there was the Herobrine. Now, the Herobrine is a dead game. It is probably the most dead game on the server. But that's because it's an arcade game. There are tons of other arcade games that are fairly dead, and all of those will move to Shuffle instead of being fully removed from the server. Now, I think the reason why they didn't do that for Herobrine is because it's just too complicated of a game. You have, like, kits and everything. There's asymmetric rolls, so it wouldn't really fit in as well with the Shuffle games, which is why I think it got removed, instead moved to Shuffle. And then there was Kai, which is the most active of 4 and had the most drama surrounding its removal. Now, I'm a Kai player, so this might be slightly biased, but I do feel like it deserved removal less than the other 3 games. But there were some like logical reasons. Of course, you have to draw the line somewhere. Kai is a fairly reasonable place to draw that line, in my opinion. And then Java 2 was released, and there were a lot of glitches. That's the best way to get bugs fixed, is to /report, but there has been a lot of bugs. Now, my thought on the bugs and the quantity of them is that maybe they should have had another testing, like a longer one, say maybe like a whole day of testing, and people would go on there and find bugs. I mean, you're never going to have everyone on the Java 2 testing finding bugs. Like a day on the main server, way more effective than the day on the testing server, but hopefully if they did do that, they could have gotten some more bugs. Now, nothing was ruined. I don't think anyone, I mean, some people lost streaks, but streaks don't matter anymore, so who cares, and stuff like that. And the streaks were lost to, like, some weird thing involving how the streak that they were counting was your overall streak and not your mode-specific streak, so someone queued souls and lost their 4 streak, something like that, I don't know. But there were a lot of glitches. Now, I've been reporting them. The big one in Bed Wars was that when you went to someone else's base, you couldn't upgrade your own generators, which is a problem. That was a bug. We got that fixed pretty quickly. There were other ones with generators not starting on robots. I think the staff is aware of that, though I'm actually not sure. I haven't seen anything officially recognizing it. Now, one glitch that I've specifically have been working on is the generator timings, which James pointed out, or James or Holmes pointed out that the timings were off, and I was like, oh wait, yeah, they are. They totally are. So I went into a game on an alt and used a clock. I recorded my games. Probably the biggest moment of wow, I take this game too seriously when I started like looking through old videos to compute the times for bugs, or the times for generators, and we now know what those are, and they're fairly set. We should get those rolled out soon, probably tomorrow. Me and James talked to the Boxer about it. They're probably fixing it. And then there are the non-bug things. Most of them I like. I know other games have had some non-bug changes that they dislike, something about like enchanting in Timv. But in Bed Wars, the big non-bug changes is they started tracking final kills, which I like. They removed win streaks, which I like because well, they didn't fully remove it, but now it's like a private thing, so you're not gonna constantly get ulted. They fixed the thing where sometimes your generator won't generate an iron, just skip one of the instances. I don't know why that happened, but it's fixed now anyway. And then there was the potion changes. Not a big fan, but that'll probably be mentioned in a later video. So yeah, most of the things that I didn't mention I like or am neutral about. And basically with all that, so there was the disappointing missed features, but if you on the context of it as a whole, I think that Java 2 was a smart decision to make. They should have released it without the features so they could get a functioning server faster, and it's mildly disappointing. There are some missed promises, there are some glitches, but overall it's like still very much an improvement in my opinion. I said Bed Wars was worse, but that was because of the bugs. I'm sure some of the things will be fixed, and once it's there it'll be equal or better. I'm not a fan of the potion changes, but that's for another video. Anyway, 7 out of 10, bye. Okay, hi, welcome to the part after the video, where I talk about things that I couldn't include in the video. First of all, I'm making a Goodbye Kai montage. I don't know when that will be released, hopefully not in like a year, but sometime soon preferably. Also, I just wanted to say, don't send like the developers death threats, because people have been saying some pretty bold stuff in Java chat, and not a fan of that. Don't do stupid stuff. Anyway, bye.